Hello and welcome to the podcast. Apologies before we begin because today's episode is going to be a noisy episode because it's a weekend and everybody's home. The kids are home, wifey is home. So, anyway, you might hear some noise in the background. Now, of course, this is not a podcast about my family life. I started this podcast because I only just recently discovered Nigerian movies on YouTube. So, yes, if you've been watching Nollywood movies on YouTube for the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, yeah, I'm one of those Nigerian people who did not know that this world existed at all. So I made my first episode on an Omoni Oboli movie. And apologies, that's for those of you who subscribed because I was away for quite a bit. And that's because, I'm not a professional content creator. I'm not a movie critic. I'm not a, whatever it is. I actually am a former lawyer who is now a business consultant. So I have a regular 9 to 5. And then plus I have a business podcast that I run. So my day is taken up, looking for daily bread. This is more of a passion of love. Abi, how do you say it? A passion of love project or something like that. Anyway, so apologies that I was away for a while. I'll try and be much more regular. Now, I was going to say that this is my first negative review or my first critical review, but then again, this is only the second podcast. So anyway, so let's continue. So today, the movie that I'm going to be looking at is called Call of My Life, and it stars Zubby Michael, and it's hosted on the 247 Nollywood TV channel. And the movie I haven't been able to confirm. I think maybe it's 2024 or so. But let me be honest, let me be frank. Even though the file is labeled Call of My Life with Zubby Michael, okay, yes, I know Zubby Michael is in the movie, but honestly, I've noticed this thing for some YouTube movies, and it's a pity that it's a Niger thing. So basically, it's like somebody puts out a movie, and the movie reigns, like the movie really pops off, and then before you know it, people start creating counterfeit versions, and the movie could be named one thing, but you just put the name of the other movie there that reigns. Because I've already watched like 2 or 3 movies where the part 1 comes out. Maybe the part 1 is done by Omoni Oboli, and the part 1 is really huge. Then somebody now just creates another movie and they claim it is so and so part 2, and then you start here like, no, this is not Omoni Oboli now. So there's some of that going on YouTube. So to be honest, I didn't see the name of the movie was not in the opening sequence. So is this movie really called Call of My Life? Honestly speaking, I don't know. But the label, if you go to 247 Nollywood TV, that's 247 like numbers, 247, and then Nollywood TV. That's the name of the channel. So if you go to 247 Nollywood TV, the movie is listed as Call of My Life and starring Zubby Michael. Now, some of my impressions. Now, I think this movie is one part of the movie was impressive. That's Zubby Michael playing the role of a dropout who eventually becomes a photographer. So I think that was impressive. Him playing something on the rough side. But then again, like I say, I'm not really a movie buff when it comes to Nollywood movies. So it's not as if I'm familiar with Zubby Michael's body of work. So I've seen him in a few things. Excuse me. But this was the first time me seeing him as a dropout, rough kind of fellow. So I thought that was really, really impressive what he did there. I have a media background, so I know something about lighting and positioning and stuff like that. So I think there's some parts of the movie that they could have done better, like when he's pretending to take photos of people in the studio. So that part could have been done better. But that part was nice and even gave the movie some kind like comedic element. So that was really, really nice. Now, there's one part of the movie, though, that me personally I think is unrealistic, but I'll leave that up to you. And that's on this whole thing of women dating down. Now, let me explain what I mean. I don't know, I know that there's a proper sociological way of describing it, but there's this idea, it's almost like a universal thing, that if you go across different societies, you notice that a woman typically dates up. A woman is dating somebody who is older. a woman is dating someone who is more successful. And then usually men date down someone who is younger, and in some cases, someone who is less financially successful. I guess if we can put it that way. So I am not saying it's a good thing, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not making any value judgments. So please, nobody should come for me. All I'm just saying is that it seems to be a near universal practice that women usually date up. Date someone who is older, date someone who is much more successful. So, the part of the movie, oh, by the way, sorry, for those of you who don't like spoilers, I beg, move on, move to another podcast. If you listen to any episode of mine, you definitely will hear spoilers because I'm trying to review the movie as a whole. So, warning, if you don't like spoilers, please move along, go and look for another podcast. So, the part of the movie where the main character is dating down, as in you have a woman who is in corporate Nigeria, who lives well, who has the mansion and the car and the driver and the professional secretary and all of that. And she now ends up dating down. She dates someone who is a school dropout and someone who is not very polished, not very fluent, and has very little material prospects. Not only does he live in the slum, the place where he's renting his studio, he's owing his landlord 2 years' rent. So the inequality is much. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like me and my wife, for instance, because me and my wife were close in age. And, okay, I'm older, but she finished school, I think, like a year before me or something like that. So the inequality, so it's not even like neck and neck. Like it's huge, like really huge, because she's really rich, like driver, secretary, mansion, everything. And then he, photographer, school dropout. So I'm not sure if that part of the movie was realistic, but anyway, you watch it and come up with your own opinions. Then there was one part of the movie that I didn't think was very stirring, as in it didn't really move my emotions at all. It didn't motivate my emotion at all. Because remember that I discovered Omoni Oboli movies first, and I have been watching Omoni Oboli movies first. So I am used to much more, what's the word? Stirring performances. Like all these, like this guy that likes to kiss babes up and down. What's his name? Michael Dapper. Mm-hmm. So like Michael Dapper, when he acts with A-Team, what's her name? I can't remember, this fine Kalawa babe. Or when he acts with So-So, or when he acts with other people. But there's a way that you see the love. Like love will be hungry in you. You understand? Like you're watching it, you just want to love somebody. You just want to hold somebody. So, those are the kinds of performances that I'm used to. So, Zubby, you and your co-actress, I'll be your co-whatever. Like you guys ain't quite, that love was not strong. You understand? The screen chemistry, too sweet. So that final profession of love that he did, in fact, the way that they fall in love in the movie, I think is okay. I think it's fine. It's even endearing, watching Madame fall in love with the tout. But that final love profession, something was missing. They didn't quite capture it well. And then also was also not realistic because it ends on happily ever after, sort of. But we know that this is not realistic because this is Madame falling in love with a dropout photographer. So what next? But anyway, those are just my own thoughts. So this is a Nollywood drama. And when I say Nollywood drama, I'm going to say Nollywood with a capital N. This is not a Netflix production at all. This is not an Omoni Oboli production at all. As in, this thing is nothing fancy. I won't lie. It's Nollywood. Like old Nollywood. So the production value in the movie is kind of sketchy. So if you're one of these people who likes high production value, you want to watch a Nollywood movie and you want the thing to resemble Hollywood, and stuff like that. The camera, the lighting, the angles, the storycraft. If that's what you're looking for, I beg, don't watch this film. You'll be annoyed. You'll be angry. But anyway, I've taken it on. I'm going to be the sacrificial lamb, and I'm going to watch as many of these movies as possible. So it's a Nollywood drama. with sketchy production value. Now, the main babe in the movie, sorry, I didn't get her name, but in the movie, her name is Lydia. So Lydia runs a charitable foundation, and apparently Lydia has an ex who is the guy is sick. He's mentally deranged. So she runs a charitable foundation, and she raises money for the education of children who are of less means. Let's just put it that way. And then Tayo, her ex-boyfriend, diverts about like 500 million naira. Like he launders the money and then he frames her. And then the news gets out when she's about to launch something. And so there's social media backlash and stuff like that. So people think like she has been raising money, telling people that she's using it for these children. But meanwhile, she don't siphon 500 million. So that's the conflict that the movie starts on. So Lydia's secretary just tells her that look, legal is working on it, public relations is working on it. So, madam, you have to lie low, you have to disappear. So she decides to go back to her former neighborhood, and of course, her former neighborhood is not what she's used to right now. Because when this movie starts, Lydia is living the life, as in she's a correct babe. She has her own house, got her own clothes, got her own mansion, got her own driver, got her own PA, as in soft life. So she has to bounce, and then she goes back to her old neighborhood, and then that causes, a clash of how will I put it now? A clash of how will I say, like social classes. So like you used to be here before, you wanted that big life. You don't make out, you don't hammer, you elevate yourself. So like now, why are you back here? Like, are we not too small for you, Your Highness? So all those kind of moves. I'm sure that it's stuff that most of us would be excuse me, used to, in Nigerian families, we all start off similar. Some people elevate, and then, they see your face again. So eventually, when those people come back, we're like, okay, you're coming back to us now, Abby. Like, Shelley, like, what's happening? I thought you were too good to be like the rest of us. So, yeah, there's a clash of social classes. So she comes back, and her friends are kind of skeptical, like, madam, okay, welcome. And then, of course, she's hanging out with the guy that she falls in love with, the dropouts, who is a photographer. His name is Ike. So, she's trying to get along with Ike. And then, of course, there's some of those tension because, even me too, I will fear now. Because, like, I'm not a high school dropout, but let's say, like, Mo Abudu, excuse me, let's say, like, Mo Abudu, for instance, she sees me and she says, hi, young boy, how are you? Come and be my friend. So, even if I like her, even myself, I'll be thinking, Amy, small boy like me, nine Auntie Mo, they give me face. So all those kind of issues. So there was some of that stuff going on between her and Ike. Now there's some interesting things from a business perspective that I liked in the movie because remember, this movie starts off with Lydia, the main character, as a big girl, like she's on a big level. So when she moves into this new neighborhood, Ike is a university dropout and he's doing this photography business. So she uses her expertise in branding and packaging and communications and stuff like that to help Ike build his business. So she helps Ike create a website. She helps him create a landing page, buy some new photography equipment for him. They run a targeting campaign, an online targeting campaign, local. Then the call to action is email so that he gets lots of leads through his email. And I thought that part was pretty nice because one thing I like about Nigerian movies is somehow, I'm sure if you notice, there's always something business or career related that they just drop inside. So I think that part is cool. So I like that part was there, showing that no matter where you are, like let's say even if, you're a dropout and you're a dropout photographer, like you can elevate, you can package, you can scale up, you can clean up, like it can be done. Maybe you don't have the knowledge or the expertise, but if you find it, it's within reach. Then, but one thing that they didn't quite play up in the movie was, of course, to create a website and a landing page and then to do advertising, money is required. So they didn't too stress that money element, but just letting you know, just in case you're watching this movie, and let's say you're much younger, let's say you're maybe 18 to 20 something, just know that the way it happened in the film is not that easy in real life. Okay, So it's cool, it's nice, it's romantic, but in real life, it's a little bit, it's not as rosy in real life. So somebody can't just swoop in, create a website, drop some money, run advertisement, then next thing, business just they flow, just they flow. So no, it's not like that. But I thought that was really really nice. Now, there's some personal transformation that goes through in the movie because Lydia, remember, she's before now from humble background. Now she's a big girl, so she has this whole fraternity class thing going on. So her having to go back to her former uh, neighborhood, there's some personal transformation involved. She gets to be humble. She gets to appreciate life and what really matters. So I like the personal transformation part of the movie. I thought that was well done. Then, of course, like I said, I'm a business consultant, so all those business things were really really catching my eye. So I liked this whole part of the movie around crisis management and then trying to manage your reputation because remember she's in a relationship with Tayo, and then Tayo steals 500M and is able to flip the script to make it look as if Nashi Tifam. So she has to get a PR firm. She also has to get her lawyers on it, and then her PA. Them also trying to do social media moves, because they're trying to court public opinion. And I just thought that was really really nice because, like I said, um, not as if it was necessary to drive the movie forward, but I just like it when we drop business things, career things, so that as people are watching, let them see. It's not just entertainment. Let's see if we can learn one or two things from a movie. Then, because Lydia has been scammed by her boyfriend Tayo, now that she's with Ike and business seems to be opening up small, small, she don't they shine her eye. So excuse me. So there's this deal that came in for Ike. Somebody sent an email and it was 500k, and Ike was like, 500k, forget. I go show, like I will turn up. I'm taking this job. But she's like, okay, no problem. But then low key, she went to go and put her assistant on it, like, man, check this thing out just to be sure it's not a scam. And they were able to discover that it was a scam. So it's not really a theme of the movie per se, but this whole idea of like shine your eyes, like you never know how you can be taken advantage of. So that was also another theme that I like there. Do your due diligence, and then risk assessment. Make sure that you check everything, that everything is okay. But overall, um, sorry, excuse me. So overall, even though the movie was not too well shot, because I beg, remember what I said. Remember what I said. I'm being honest with you. This is more. It was shot more like a traditional Nollywood movie. Like Nollywood films of like 20 years ago. That's kind of like the shooting style. Shaking camera angles. The story plot has no too blend. But um, so even though the production value in this movie is poor, not too bad, but poor. I like some relationship themes that were there. So like this whole thing of toxicity in relationships, because Tayo, sorry, is an absolute psycho. So warning, by the way, young ladies, be careful. It's not every single fine boy who talks well that is your knight in shining armor. You never know. So shine your eye. So the whole thing of toxic control, but anyway, that has been explored in other Nigerian movies. So yeah, I think that was good. Then this whole thing of pride and social class, I think it's an important question that they're tackling. That can pride and social class, can it hurt romantic relationships and can it stop two people from being vulnerable? So, looking at it in a very fictional something, it might look as if, how will I put it now? It might look as if social class is just arbitrary or something. But honestly, I do think it raises some legitimate concerns. So it's not something that we should wash over too quickly. But yes, there were some of those questions. Pride and social class, can those cause difficulties in marriage? Marriage can be difficult, and honestly speaking, yes, it can cause some difficulties. So anyway, that was one of the final themes that was explored. But one part of the movie that I like and that I think Nigerian movies don't do a lot of is this whole thing of sisterhood and female mentorship. I thought they did explore it well there. So Lydia comes back into the hood and she hooks up with a childhood friend, Amara. Amara runs a restaurant. So they look to each other for safety and support. Lydia, because she's a big girl, has some advice on how the restaurant can be improved. And then Ike's sister, I think, Ike's sister or Ike's neighbor, I can't really remember. Lydia advises her to go for a scholarship, so she can better herself, a scholarship abroad. So that whole thing of, women, sisters, sisterhood, everybody working together, each one lift one. I mean, how not talk, share all of us together, each person lift up another person. So I thought that was really, really good. But but rather, this underlying message in the movie was about love and friendship and sacrifice, because Lydia loves Amara, her friend. The two of them love Ike's sister. Lydia loves Ike, the photographer. But everybody that was feeling love in this movie had to sacrifice personal comfort at some point for the benefit of the other people. And I thought that was really, really, really nice. That was really, really good. So Ike loves Lydia. At some point, he has to sacrifice his own personal comfort when Tayo comes around and wants to, manhandle manhandle Lydia. Ike steps up like, "Oh boy, like, who are you? Like, what's going on here?" Then the same thing with the girls. There are times when the girls have to step up and protect their friend. And Lydia is doing her bit to try and try and support Ike's business and stuff like that. So it was love beyond feeling. It was not just a matter of love as emotion. It was love as in I'm putting something on the line, for somebody that I love, whether that person is my sister or whether that person is my girlfriend. Then, just like with the last, so I say the last. Look at me. This is only my second episode. Forgive me. For some people who are listening to this now will think I've done maybe like 500 episodes or something. So just like with the first episode, I looked at things from a Catholic Christian perspective and from a business perspective, because I'm a business consultant and I'm Catholic, so I'm going to do the same thing. Now, there's some other themes here that some of you might not quite pick out because you're not quite looking at it that way. But then there's this whole thing of pride versus humility. And of course, I like the fact that it's a man who is in the crosshairs now, because everybody is susceptible to pride. But of course, that men, we have our way of falling victim to pride. So I like the fact that in the movie, Ike, he had to man up. He had to man up at some point and be humble. Most people think when you man up, it means you carry chest. Raise your shoulder. But for Ike, he had to man up, and manning up meant he had to be humble. Now, some people think humility or being humble is thinking of yourself less, but no. Actually, the traditional Christian perspective is thinking of yourself in the proper proportion, or thinking of yourself in the right order. Like, don't think you are more than you are, that sort of thing. And it's not even just a Christian thing, because there's a Roman emperor, I can't remember his name, who hired a slave, and the whole point of the slave was whenever people were shouting, "Hail Caesar, you are a god, Caesar, you are this, you are this," the slave's job was just to lean forward into the emperor's ear and say, "Oga, remember you are a man, oh. Remember you are a man, remember you are a man." So whether Christian or pagan, it's something that we know we need, especially as men. So any man listening to this episode right now, man up. And manning up sometimes means you have some humility. So from a traditional Catholic perspective, there are different ways of thinking about it, because let me not lie, Ike is in a very tough position. Let me not lie. Me, if I was in that situation, I don't know what I would do. I'm a humble guy. I just didn't manage myself in my photography studio. Then one Lagos big girl say, Nami she like, and then myself I like her. Omo, will be somehow. Now she the parent, now she get car, this, that. So honestly, it's just fiction. But if it was real life, Ike, you're in a tough position, really tough position. So, but the guy man up. So you have to ask yourself some questions. Okay, I'm a man now. So what does that mean? doesn't mean I have to be the breadwinner. So because now she hold money, does it mean like I'm not a man anymore? What does that mean? Am I the breadwinner? You have to ask yourself. From the traditional Christian perspective, and Catholic perspective, there's the idea of the home being a domestic church. And since the home is the domestic church, then the father is the chief priest. Is that my role? I'm the priest of the domestic church. Am I the one who's providing leadership? Am I the one who's going to be a protector? Because of course, Ike saw himself as Lydia's protector because Tayo is, like I said, Tayo was a nut, was crazy. So Ike was trying to protect her. But these are conversations that Christian men need to have. Sorry, women, if you can't relate to it. But anyway, I'll move on from this whole man thing. But sure, that was a good part of the movie. Man up. And sometimes man up doesn't mean what you think it does. Because for Ike, at some point, when he wanted to man up, he scattered the relationship. He told Lydia that, look, I don't want your car. I don't want your whatever. Just they go. Like, it's okay. Go your way, me, I go my way. So that was him. The way he called it, he said it was his ego. But sure, we have to ask ourselves these questions: pride versus humility. And then in being a man, what does it mean? Breadwinner, chief priest, leader, protector. How do I think of myself as a man? And so if I'm in that kind of situation where na the babe where home money pass, like what are we going to do? Then repentance. In the traditional Catholic perspective, excuse me, repentance means turning back really. Like you are going here before, now it's time to turn back. So the fact that Ike was able to admit his faults and go and meet the babe and say, "Oh, babe, I beg, forgive me." He turned back. That was a good one. So repentance. Men listening, learn how to repent. Admit your faults. Then there's another theme throughout the whole movie about pride and what it does to people. So in the beginning, Lydia is proud. She don't elevate. She's in a new social status. So therefore, the people in her former life, the people in the old hood, she no fit blend with them again. You can see that they're no longer, you understand, they're no longer friends. So pride and all these things isolates. So Ike is proud. Even though he likes the girl, what does he do? He cut off from the babe. Lydia, she's proud. What does she do? Cut off from her old people. So pride is just isolating everybody, but it's humility that is bringing everybody back. So Lydia goes back to the old hood. She become humble, small. She connects with her childhood friends. Everything good. Ike, chop small, humility, is able to reconcile with Lydia. By the way, like I said, for those of you who don't like spoilers, sorry, but there's going to be spoilers in every single review that I do. So if you don't like spoilers, do not subscribe to this podcast. So pride isolates, humility brings us all back together. Then there's something in the movie that you kind of miss about how faith can be a source of strength, a source of resilience. Because Lydia talks about how when Tayo started to misbehave, at some point she wanted to jump off the balcony. And her friend is like, on top waiting, like, okay, so why didn't you jump? And she said, my faith. So that was a good one. Although this is not a Christian movie by any means, but that was nice. Faith as a source of strength. Then there's this whole thing of providence throughout the whole movie. Now, providence is how will I explain providence now? Okay, let's just say providence means like God will provide. So providence is a traditional Nollywood theme. It's a traditional Nollywood theme. To God be the glory, this, blah, blah, blah. Now. You know how movies can be. So providence always shows up. In fact, in this movie, I think Amara, that is Lydia's friend. I think she called Lydia a destiny helper. So this whole thing of providence, God to provide destiny helpers, it showed up in the movie in a big way. So like Lydia helps Ike in the business. So Lydia is a destiny helper. And by the way, we should aim to be destiny helpers for people. People should feel you. Then when you arrive in the environment, people are uplifted, lives are changed. So it's not a bad thing. Ike helps Lydia in love, gives her protection, also helps her find her courage. Because in the beginning of the film, Lydia she dey run. If she hears that Tayo is here, she will run away. But from hanging around with Ike and Amara and all whatnot, she finds her courage. She's able to confront Tayo, to tell Tayo that, look, get the hell out of here. That you can't control my life again. So, for Lydia, Ike and Amara and the other girl, they're her destiny's helpers. They help her find courage. Then Lydia helps Amara to improve the restaurant and the other girl to go for scholarship. Destiny helper. You arrive, you are changing, you're transforming people. But for those of you who like to watch Nollywood movies, a lot, especially the old Nollywood movies, you're already used to this whole idea of providence that somehow, God with you can't, He will help. And some people end up being destiny helpers. So there are lots of things that can be said, but since we've done 30 minutes, let me just bring this to a close. Now, my verdict is this. For the last movie, I don't think I gave a verdict, so let me give a verdict now. If you like old school Nollywood movies, like if you love Aki and Popo and this guy, what's his name? Is it Osita? No, not Osita in London. Something in London. I can't remember the name. But like, if you like all that old stuff, even stuff older than that, shot with old analog cameras, production value is crap. The dialogue is useless. The audio quality is poor. All those sorts of things. So if you like the old school Nollywood stuff, then watch this movie. It's your thing. It definitely is your thing. But my wife is not patient, so I'm not going to recommend that she should watch this because she won't like it at all. So if you like old school Nollywood stuff, watch this film and enjoy yourself. If you think Omoni Oboli is the truth and you think she is the way, don't watch this film because you'll just be annoyed because the story craft is not too good. Production value is one kind. Audio quality is anyway, let me not talk too much. But if you think Omoni Oboli is the standard, is the pinnacle, then don't watch this film. You'll be annoyed. For those of you who like Nollywood movies, but you prefer to watch Nollywood movies on Netflix, then definitely don't watch this film. You'll be annoyed, you'll be angry. Because this is not a Netflix production at all. It's not a Netflix production at all. So I'll say that's my verdict. I liked it. But my wife says I can be more forgiving than other people when it comes to watching movies. And yeah, that's it. If you're like me and you haven't seen Zubby Michael in too many things and you want to see him as a tout, definitely you should watch this movie because I think his performance there was quite good. Apart from the end when he was declaring love. That love declaration no work. So Zubby Michael, if you're listening to this review or if you know it, if any of you know Zubby Michael and you send this review to him, please tell him he should go and meet Michael Dapper and go for a lesson because Michael Dapper, that guy, like he's a flirt. Michael Dapper is an ashawo basically. So Zubby Michael, go and meet Michael Dapper, go and learn ashawo moves on cinema so that your love scenes can be more, what's that word? Can be more ginger, more vim, more, you understand what I'm saying? More passionate, more, the love that will convince, the kind of love that Nigerian babes will watch and be like, oh, that kind of thing. Yeah, so that's it. That is the end of my second review. Again, what we looked at today was Call of My Life. I'm not sure the title of this movie, but if you go to 247 Nollywood TV, that's the YouTube channel, they labeled it there as Call of My Life. Starring Zubby Michael. I didn't get the name of the other lady. I think it's a 2024 movie. And yeah, that's it. So that is my second review. So thank you very much for listening. I'll catch you all some other time. And don't worry, this time I'm not going to stay 2 weeks before putting out another episode. So that's it. I'll catch you all.